Reality aggravated report.
The intro was kind of loud that time.
Yeah, I always kind of like brace myself.
I know it hits hard. I'm gonna turn it down after when we're done, just to.
So hopefully there's any new listeners. Because you said Google Play started today?
Yeah, so I signed us up for Google Play last Friday, and it got approved today. So we're on Google Play, Spotify, iTunes, Reality or Podcast.com, Twitter, Instagram.
It's pretty cool.
I just need to figure out like the pocket where you get it in and people just listen to it. But I'm down for earning listeners. I don't want. There's like all this like pay for plays kind of bullshit that where you pay like
cultivating. Listeners.
Yeah, like you pay like $10 and you'll get guaranteed 500 real listeners. And this, I'm like, I don't believe that. They're just bots.
Yeah.
That'll listen to it and like leave like bullshit comments. I'd rather just build it from the ground up.
Yeah, slowly, and then they can just come back and listen to the older episodes.
Yeah, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Yeah.
But I mean, the feedback thus far has been all right. I mean, it comes from people we know. We haven't really heard any feedback from people that we don't know.
They can always leave feedback, though.
Yeah.
Like our Gmail.
Yeah. Or on the iTunes or on our Twitter.
Well, there might be some ratings on iTunes. It's just you have to have a certain amount before they start doing the stars.
Yeah. I check it all the time, but probably has to be like 1,000 or like at least 100.
Yeah. They finally get to it and it's like 2 stars. Like, what the fuck?
These guys are full of shit.
That's like a fear of mine.
Well, yeah, but I don't think the purpose. We're not trying. I always battle with it because like we're not trying to be factual. We're not trying to be matter of fact. We're not trying to be
like super intelligent.
Yeah. We're just discussing. We're just having a conversation. And hey, if you like the conversation and you want to hear it, I mean, if I was me, I would like to listen to it because I would just like to, if I'm bored at my job or whatever, or on a road trip or something, I'd like to listen to it because it's stuff I want to, it's just stuff we like to talk about. So we're talking about it.
Yeah, we would talk about it regardless if there's a microphone in front of us.
Right.
Or not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we just give other people the opportunity to listen if they want to listen.
Chime in. I heard somebody say that they sometimes when like they're listening to it, they just want to like talk to us, like like they're listening to us at the same time.
Mercedes says that.
Does she? Yeah,
she's like, I listen to it and I just want to talk. I want to talk to you. Or my brother says that too. I want to have my brother TJ on a he's because I've told you he's recently hated his job and that sort of thing.
Oh, he's newly into this status quo.
Yeah. So he's been listening and I want to get him on like a telephone one. Because he lives in Dallas, get him on like a telephone. We should, I don't know which episode we should start bringing people on. I don't want to bring in like professionals yet, but I mean there's some people that I think would be cool just to kind of, that way we're not circling around or looping through things that we've already done.
Yeah, bring in some like fresh air.
Yeah.
To the whole thing.
Some fresh mouths.
Yeah.
Fresh ideas.
The fresh mouth just sounds like, at first thought I was like, oh, that sounds really fucking gross. And then I thought like, oh, fresh mouth, like they just brushed their teeth and everything's fresh, you know?
No, fresh mouth, like fresh fish coming to prison. Fresh mouth that the prisoners haven't put their peepees in yet.
Why do they call them fish? I never understood that.
I don't know.
Because like any sort of like prison show, like even
Shawshank Redemption is the first.
Yeah, they call them
fish. fishy.
And then Prison Break called him fish too.
Oh yeah.
Like Theodore Bagwell. I don't remember.
He's a good actor.
The guy that played Theodore Bagwell.
Yeah, well, like in that he was kind of cheesy, but in stuff after that, I can't remember specifically what he was in, but he was a really good actor.
I know he did something with like Heroes for a bit.
Yeah.
He was like the villain.
Oh yeah, he was in the newest season of Twin Peaks. David Lynch's like reboot of Twin Peaks. He was a person in it, and he was fucking awesome. It was him, and I think it was John Belushi's brother.
Okay,
Jim Belushi. I think he's still alive, right?
Yeah. He played on that one like family sitcom back in the day.
Yeah, I think it was him and that guy from Prison Break. It's
Yeah.
funny because he did that thing in Prison Break where he pulled his pocket out. And
Yeah,
always
you
made
can
her-
hold his pockets.
I do that to Mercedes in the grocery store.
He's like, I got a whole nother pocket right
Right.
here. It'd be so awesome to just have people hold your
The
pockets.
beginning of that show was so badass when the main guy goes into the office and he's studying how the lamp works, and he's studying, and then you realize like on his back he's got the whole prison. I like that
Yeah.
that whole character buildup of him, how he analyzes things and that sort of thing.
How he sees it. Did you watch the whole series at all?
No, after season 2 I was like, fuck this. When they were trying to break back into prison,
Yeah. It was like a third world prison.
yeah, I was like, no, fuck this. Prison break, not prison re-entry.
Yeah, I think they kind of lost their way. What they should have done is just ended up like make it like a 2-season special, and then
Right.
just ended after that.
Yeah.
Because what happened was after that season, then he like actually got out. Like now it's his brother's turn to break out, and then so he breaks him out, and then they go on the run, and then they remove all of his tattoos like instantly somehow.
From his back?
Yeah, everything. They just remove all of his tattoos, and then he starts working for the government to take down certain people, and then he ends up dying. And then they had a season like it was like maybe like a year or two ago where they did like a season 5 where he's actually still alive. He's got a kid, and I didn't really pay attention to any of that. And they made a movie, like a direct-to-movie, where his wife, one girl, the doctor, or the girl that was in there, like that helped him break out, you know.
Yeah,
I can't remember her name was, but where she goes to prison, he has to help break her out. I was like, what is this?
Right.
It was terrible. It should just end the second season.
Yeah, it got bad after this. But I liked that the other guy, his brother. He's an all right actor. He has his movies and his moments.
Yeah, what else did he play on though? Because that's the only thing I really know him from.
He
Actually, I know they're on The Flash, and they're both villains. In
Yeah.
the Flash series.
he was on this movie I saw a long time ago. It was like a sci-fi kind of movie, but he's been in some sci-fi stuff. But yeah, it was a good show in the beginning, but it just turned to dog shit, like most shows do. But I feel like it's hard to keep up a television show.
I don't know. I think if you have a main idea of where it's going, like I think you're right because like I feel like Lost kind of fell to that trapping. Heroes fell to that trapping.
Yeah.
Prison Break.
Well, the thing with Lost was they started it. They thought it was going to be canceled, so they didn't have an ending. And then when they continued it, they said everyone was, guessing is this what it is? Is this what? No, that's not what it is. We promise you. And then in the end, it turns out it was one of those things. They said that it wasn't.
Yeah, which is purgatory.
Yeah. They were all waiting to find out that they were there to go to the next stage or whatever. So it's
Yeah.
kind of you kind of have to have an end or a possible end.
The thing that really bothered me with Lost, and I've only watched it once all the way through, and I skipped season 4. That was that short season between like I can't remember, maybe go back in time or something, which was weird.
Where they're all their pasts. They do everyone's individual pasts. Right.
What did they ever explain what the 4-toed foot was? Remember, just like I think Saeed maybe saw the 4.
Oh, I don't know. Probably some shit.
I don't remember them explaining what that is.
Yeah, I don't know. It was awesome, and then when it ended, I was like, "Oh, that's a cool ending." But the whole time during it, I was thinking to myself, "This better be fucking aliens or hell or something."
Yeah.
I liked the whole Jacob, the good and the bad type thing, and all that, but it kind of ended ended weak.
Yeah.
Unlike Sopranos, where Sopranos ending everyone was pissed off about, but I thought it was an epic ending. Same with like Breaking Bad.
I haven't seen Breaking Bad, but I know people really like Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Did you ever watch Mad Men? See, to me, Mad Men is like every season it just got better and better and better.
I've seen bits and pieces. I've never watched it all the way through. We just started the beginning of the X-Files,
Oh yeah.
which is so fucking
The
badass.
new series or
From the very
original?
beginning.
Okay.
Which is good because they pull a lot of stuff from, supposed stories from real life in there, but there's also some made up stuff. But
Yeah, I could never really get. Well, I was a kid. This was in the '90s. So I was like a little kid. And I remember like first seeing X Files. I was in Florida, and I just got a Game Boy Pocket, and I was playing Super Mario Land. And I woke up in the middle of the night. I don't know what time it was. My uncle always had the TV on, and I just wanted to play Nintendo because like that's what I was like obsessed with, is that Game Boy. And then I watched an episode, and this is all I remember from it, was an alien comes up to a car door and opens the car door and like takes people and starts doing weird things to them. I don't know if it's just like my memory as a kid just kind of making up the story, but I just remember watching it being really freaked out and couldn't turn away from watching it, and I just couldn't sleep for like the next 2 days.
Yeah.
Because stuff like that freaks me out.
Some of those episodes freak me out, but I like it because I'm also watching / listening to a lot of stuff on, I know I keep preaching it, but that Gaia website.
Oh yeah.
And so I don't know if I've said it before, but the main guy that I watched, David Wilcock, he is resigning from it, so he will not be doing cosmic disclosure anymore on the Gaia website. But he did a new interview. I'm not sure if it was his last one or if he's got more. But the two main guys that he's talking to, Goode and Emery Smith, are the guys that worked for the government or deep black government, whatever. And they said that soon, who was it? I think it might have been either George Norrie, Jimmy Church, David Wilcock, Emery Smith, or Goode. I don't know. I get them all jumbled up because I watch all the same stuff.
Yeah.
One of them said that they have media sources, 4 media sources, that pretty soon there's going to be some form of disclosure, and that Trump's desire to do the space army kind of thing is coinciding with that, and it's all going to come to, I guess, a coming out of some sort of disclosure with aliens or some shit like that. So I've been digging deep into that, and just the fact that the David Wilcock guy is cutting ties with Gaia website, and these other 2 dudes that he's with, or they're under some sort of scrutiny, or they're filing lawsuits against stuff. I don't know. It's just a lot of weird stuff, and part of me thinks that it's obviously I want to believe it, and I do believe it because I'm into the aliens and shit. But another part of me, the skeptic, the devil's advocate to what I actually want to believe, is saying that, I mean, it could just be deep down occulty mumbo jumbo bullshit. I could totally see how it is that.
Yeah. That's kind of more the path that like I just view it.
Right.
And like things actually come out.
Yeah, understandable until things come out. But at this juncture, it's kind of like, okay, well, now you're saying that people are going to come out with it soon, very soon. So if nothing happens, then your credibility is going down the shitter, because if nothing happens before the end of the year or whatever, then people will know that A, you're all full of shit, and B, none of this could be real.
Yes, I kind of take the same approach as like people saying, December 21st, 2012. Like
right.
I take it like, okay, the world's going to end for sure.
Yeah, I don't know. But there's a lot of, in these videos, there's a lot of like information that's, take the sci-fi alien stuff out of it. They talk a lot about consciousness, evolution of consciousness, meditation being one, this sort of spiritual overtone to it, I guess, that I really like about it too, because there's kind of, I'm at that juncture right now where I'm diving deeper into that sort of thing, but there's a lot of stuff about that, and their stories about what the aliens tell them or how they communicate or how they act is kind of reflective of this spiritual transcendental meditation, positive type vibe that I've been, like I said, diving deeper into. So I kind of like it because it's the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I always take like a high level, like I think it's cool because I read sci-fi stuff all the time, and I don't know. For me, I just rather have the world be with superheroes.
Yeah,
I think they'd be pretty cool.
Well, maybe that's where the idea of superheroes came from, or from these aliens.
That was kind of there's a have you ever heard of Kingdom Come? It was like a popular book about 20 years ago, but it's still pretty prevalent. But it's by Mark Waid, and Mark Waid did this series a few years ago for Boom Studios called Irredeemable. It's about a superhero that just Superman that turns bad, and it's kind of the foundations of that book was in Kingdom Come. But how they ended the series was they did something. I don't want to spoil it too much for people who are actually interested, but they did it in a way where they made, because you can't defeat this guy. You can never defeat Superman. They made him into a way where they changed him to an idea. And then at the very end of the series, you see two guys who are supposed to be like the guys who created Superman got the idea because they viewed into a different reality. And that's how they just got rid of him. But that, what you're saying is that could possibly be it.
Well, yeah, they talk about remote viewing too a lot, about in certain, I guess, facets of this underground alien worker people, they have remote viewers to remote view into other dimensions or densities, but they also have people trying to remote view into what they're doing. So there's remote viewers fighting other remote viewers
like
off.
observing.
Yeah, so they can't see into what they're, all this crazy shit. And of course in a sci-fi movie kind of element, it has that sort of element to it, but also, I mean, if you can stretch your imagination, it's believable.
Yeah.
They talk about Antarctica and bases in Antarctica, and all that kind of stuff, and I think it's interesting, and I honestly, I could see the validity in it. I don't think that this place is as boring as it seems. I don't think that we're gobs of goo that crawl up into this and we manifest into this building block machine like thing, and we're not really conscious, and then all of a sudden we're conscious and we can make these decisions and connect to these different ideas and develop ideas of our own and that sort of thing. I don't know, there's some missing building block in there, you know what I mean, to connect organicness to thoughtfulness or to energy that in which you can't figure out what it is.
Yeah, I think it'd be cool to have superheroes, but real superheroes, they actually fly and save people. Because I always want to know, because how the villains work in superhero stuff, anything, there's always a hero. It doesn't have to necessarily be superhero stuff, but anything. If the hero wasn't around, the villain wouldn't be around either. It's not
you need good for bad and bad for good.
Exactly. If you watch the Batman trilogy by Christopher Nolan, he becomes Batman because he thinks that what they're doing to Gotham is bad. Right. So instead of him going out and saying, "Hey, Ra's al Ghul's group is going to wreak havoc on Gotham," he decides to take it into his own hands to avenge his own parents' death, and thus creating tons of different villains.
Right.
The Scarecrow and all that stuff is you can't have the villains without the hero. You can't have the hero without the villains type of thing. So
right.
I always want to know if there is something that's, because even in today's world too, if you just have one nation that's bad, whoever that is, fighting another nation or whatever, I wonder how real life would be with superheroes.
Well, on a more philosophical level, people always talk about a singularity or one consciousness, one source. We're all one, and there can always be one, but sometimes I don't think that that's true. I think there always has to be a symbiotic relationship between good and bad, black and white, right and wrong, that sort of thing. I think that maybe not necessarily singularity is the answer or the source or that sort of thing, but symbiosis. I mean, even from the original, from Christianity, the creation, there's good and evil. There's the devil, there's God, right? In all of religious texts, historical texts, the Mahabharata, the Quran, there's always good and bad, making decisions between good and bad. So I don't think that anyone could ever be 100% perfect or 100% awoken, or unless you're Siddhartha or Buddha or whatever. But I think that the singularity, yes, that exists, but there's also, I think that the symbiosis between, that's the right word, right? Symbiosis between two things.
Yeah, or it was a joint relationship between them.
Yeah. So the symbiosis between good and evil, I think that that's what brings consciousness, and that could have been what made us, right? Because if we're Adam and Eve, we're one, and I'm just using Christianity's or that sort of idea for context, but so everything's all happy, they're perfect humans, they're rolling around naked, there's no negativity, but then the snake comes and introduces the apple. Well, the snake, that's consciousness, I feel like, or it could be consciousness.
Well, it's supposed to be the devil.
Right. So there comes in consciousness, because before you were only acting on happiness. There's no negativity, and obviously we only have words to describe situations and things, so that's all that we can use to describe it as negativity. I don't know, it's something else in the universe or somewhere, wherever. But so that is what introduces consciousness, because to me consciousness is making choices. I think I don't think that consciousness is, because if you think about a consciousness, when you're meditating, you have to make the choice to meditate. You have to make the choice to flush everything else out of your brain and concentrate on one thing. You're breathing. You're making choices. So I think that the essence of consciousness is choices. I'm sure if you trace them back somewhere down the language lineage, they stem from the same overarching umbrella. But I think that as opposed to singularity, symbiosis is what consciousness is, or for lack of a better term to compare those two words, but that's what it could be, because consciousness is what makes this gives us the choice. Whereas if you could take the stoned ape theory into context. So the ape is just walking, it's eating, it's doing whatever it has to do to survive, which is kind of like the fight or flight feeling, or whatever that is, and the kind of just like the animalistic, primalistic, I have to eat, I have to move, it's hot, I have to do this, I have to do that. Then all of a sudden you take, if the stoned ape theory is correct, they take mushrooms, and then they're, whoa, I have a choice. I kind of feel like that kind of, if that is what made consciousness, or if that's the X factor to consciousness or becoming human, it's a choice when choice is introduced. I don't know.
Yeah, I kind of view it slightly different with consciousness and choice, because I think about free will a lot, and how I don't really think it's real. I think it's more of an illusion, and the reason why is like, I'm choosing not to do something specific is because my body or my brain or wherever tells me it doesn't want that. It's kind of like if I don't like onions, for an example, is it because it's me that doesn't like the taste of the onions? Because if I don't like the taste, that means there's information going from my taste buds to my brain signaling that I don't like this flavor, so I don't eat it. Like, it's not like if I'm like, I really want to eat onions, I really want to eat them, I just don't like them. I don't really have the free will to choose to.
But
like
if it was
onions.
all you had to eat, if that was all that was on the land, you would have to eat it.
I'm not saying that I'm like, I can't eat it. I'm saying I just don't like the flavor of it. And is it because I personally don't like the flavor of it? Because like I'm choosing free will to not like the flavor of it? Like, oh, there's other flavors that I like that I'd much rather choose to have. Like, let's say instead of an onion, I'm eating a carrot as the vegetable. Is it because of my brain that's saying, no, all these chemicals going on, and saying that like, no, we don't want that in our body?
I think those sorts of things, not liking the taste of something, stem from something in your subconscious from your childhood.
Yeah, it's McDonald's, dude. They loaded it up with onions like all the time.
Right. You had an experience at some point. You may not be aware of it, but you had an experience. An example is I used to have these dreams, and they're very vivid still to this day in my mind. I had very, very, very lucid dreams about this house, and I would go into this house, and it was really foggy and misty in this house, but the whole house was covered in boogers, and so was the family. Everything was covered in boogers. I don't know if I was like picking my nose at the time when I was a kid, and like wiping it on my wall, and I'm just subconsciously creating this booger womb that I'm sleeping in or something. I don't know what it was, but everything was covered in boogers, but it had this distinct smell. And it's weird that I translated the smell from my dreams to real life, because I'll get the smell every once in a while. And when I smell that, I just get this fucking revamping of this dream and seeing the booger people and stuff, like Pavlov's dog, conditioning. So it's like a conditioned thing with boogers and this smell. Same with cream corn. When I was a kid, I remember I ate cream corn, and I don't know what happened, but I threw up. So now I see cream corn, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
And when people ask me, "Oh, would you like some cream corn?" No, I don't want cream corn. Well, why don't you like cream corn? Oh, because when I was 6, I puked it up. Well, that's not an excuse anymore.
Yeah.
It's the things like that. So I think that those are.
I would just tell them because it's cream corn.
Yeah, I mean it's disgusting anyways. I'd rather eat something else. But
Yeah.
my instinctual, primordial instinct to not like something without thinking about why I don't like it is, I feel, a conditioned state.
But then that kind of goes to what I was thinking is like, so you have this conditioned state, right? That you don't like certain things or you do like certain things. It's not because of your free will. Your body has been conditioned to do so. Like a good example of Pavlov dogs is when they smell food, they salivate. They can't not salivate when they smell food. Even if they had the free will to not want to do it, they still would have salivation going. And if they decided that they, like for me, for example, if I decided that I want to eat onions, it's just like, is that me deciding, or is that my brain deciding that they want?
No,
to
that's
want
you
that,
deciding.
You know?
That's free. That's you taking free will, being
See,
like,
that's why I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
like onions.
Yeah, I think that's why it's an illusion, in my opinion. It's not real.
Perfect example. I'm drinking whiskey right now, but I didn't like whiskey for real. But I made myself like whiskey.
But how do you know that you made yourself rather than your brain saying that you want to like whiskey?
Because I'm aware, and I made the aware choice to make myself like whiskey.
Yeah, I can see that.
It wasn't subconscious. I made an aware decision. I think.
Yeah,
that
I
there's
always think it's all happening in your brain, just like how when your hands constantly shake or you reach for some things. Like for an example is I'm not choosing the free will to have my heart beat type of thing, or my food digest. It's just going to do it. That's kind of how I view me liking onions or disliking onions. Is like
what is that? What would that be considered? Would that be like a genetic? No, not genetic. Instinctual, maybe. Instinctual, but not instinctual, because it's not. You're not gonna
like part of the program.
You're not gonna die if you eat an onion. So instinct is kind of, if you see a rattlesnake, like my friend posted on Facebook today. He was walking through the woods. He's a mushroom forager, and he was walking, and he said in his Facebook post, he explains that his brain told him to stop before his eyes saw what it was, and then he looked down and realized it was a fucking rattlesnake.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, that's instinct, that's fight or flight, where your subconscious kicks in, or your whatever that is back there making all the noise and making all the decisions, that kicks in.
See, that's how I think it always works. Is it's always doing it. It just seems like it. That's why I think it's an illusion.
Maybe you're just.
It just seems like you're choosing the things that you like.
Maybe you're just aware of the choices that. It's kind of when you're driving down the road, and if you're not paying attention, everything is a blur. But if you pay attention, I've never noticed that sign before. Maybe it's your brain is making decisions, and you're just realizing the decisions it's making, so it makes you feel like you're actually making the choice, but in reality you are always going to make that choice.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of how I view it.
I could see that. That would get into like the alternate dimension kind of thing, though, because if your brain makes every single choice possible, well, you only decided to pick up on the one choice that it made, and in the infinite amount of choices that it had, you picked up on one of the choices, so that's the path you took. If you would have been present or made the decision to be conscious on one of the other choices it made, your life could have taken a different path.
Yeah, that's kind of why I believe in the multiverse, but I don't believe in the many worlds theory multiverse, where it's like, instead of you drinking whiskey, you could drink scotch, even though it's still a whiskey, like bourbon or scotch, right? And there comes this whole new other reality. I don't believe in that. I don't think
like at the liquor store I chose vodka instead of.
Yeah, and then now there's a reality between vodka and whiskey, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's real, because like that means
that could get too hairy.
Well, because I don't think free will is actually real to make decisions to actually split off different realities, because the realities would just keep compounding, because then that means the one that you chose vodka over is now compounding through every decision you make, and like, that's only yours.
Yeah, what if maybe it's a symbiotic relationship? Maybe the consciousness, your choice you make, decides the path from there, and then the next choice you make, it stops that playing out of those events, and then it goes on to the next one, and it's just, as opposed to being branching off into a million infinity different things, one stops, then you branch off into the next one, and then you stop, then you branch off into the next one.
You just like navigate through them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I do kind of like, It's kind of like the best way to describe my view on the multiverse is exactly how DC Comics does it. It's like they do have superheroes in every single reality besides what they call Prime reality, where Superboy Prime hails from. Like that. So if you're from Earth 1, Earth 2, Earth 0, yeah, there's a Superman in every single one. But it's not because they did different choices. It's because the different starting, kind of like starting factors of their reality made him to this way. So like if you go into Earth 2, they're all older. If you go to Earth 3, everybody's a villain who's a hero, and whoever's a hero is a villain type of thing. Or whomever's a hero. That sort of thing. It's not like they, Superman decided to have a blue cape instead of a red cape, and there's that one reality type of thing. That's
Right.
how I would view our reality. Like there might be another universe with you in it, or there might not be. It doesn't have to be because you chose vodka in one of them type of thing.
Right.
So that's how I would view the multiverse.
Yeah. I just don't think. I don't know what the theory is called, where every choice that can be made is made. You're just conscious of the path that you go, that you consciously made the decision. But I think that as far as free will goes, I feel that you do have somewhat of a choice of free will, but only in the context of the specific environment you chose to put yourself in. You are choosing your options for free will, right? Because for me, I would love to go live in Boulder, Colorado. I can do that in the future, but I have to make the right choices to give myself that choice to do that, right? I'm not rich right now. I don't make enough money to just up and leave and move there. So technically, I prevented myself from having true free will. Now that's obviously using money to monetize the value of it, or to use it as a wall. But I mean, that's just an example. But I think that we create our own choices, and so thus we create whether free will exists.
Yeah.
If that makes kind of sense.
Kind of to a degree. Maybe I'm just not as open-minded because I don't have the free will to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
I've been trying to be open-minded lately.
Well, I mean, on the open-minded idea of free will, though, not like open-minded as like in.
You do have free
absolutely
will, though.
everything.
You worked a shit job. You made the decision to move.
But did I, or was it my brain telling me to do that?
Well, maybe that your path was already kind of, you subconsciously were picking your path with your thoughts and your consciousness, working with you being aware of it and with you not being aware of it, and you just realized, oh shit, I hate this.
Yeah.
Maybe there was something in the back. Come on, Barry, wake up.
Yeah, I think for me it was the idea of how can I make myself miserable, where my body's just like fighting, like, oh, I don't want to do this. What am I doing? Okay, we have to do something, and just over so long of time, it's like, okay, we have to do something to change it, because like anything, if you're eating thorns, your body's gonna be like, I don't want to eat thorns anymore. So like you just go to eat something that is pleasurable, and I feel like that's kind of how like I view that, as my body just didn't want to go there anymore. So it's like, okay, well, we're gonna make you miserable with getting like night sweats, rashes everywhere because you're just so stressed out, to the point where you have to quit. And then like, okay, well, this one now is not so bad, and then just follow kind of the path of being happy. That's why I don't understand people who just don't do anything for like 15 years, who just like stay at the same shit thing that they're doing.
Because they're not awake. They don't listen to themselves.
Yeah, I don't get. But they'll sit there and tell you like all the advice in the world of how to like live your life, but like they're not even taking any advice on their own.
Well, your mind will manifest physical manifestations of your thoughts. It's I don't know the specific scientific provings of it or the guy's name, but if you tell yourself every single day, I'm going to get cancer, I'm going to get cancer, I'm going to get cancer, eventually you're going to get cancer. The mind will physically manifest, or the mind will manifest into the physical realm what you're thinking. That's why hypochondriacs, or people who, I guess that is a hypochondriac, people that always think they're sick, they make themselves sick because they're envisioning it, which kind of coincides and piggybacks on obviously the secret or the law of human attraction.
I agree to that too, because like it's kind of like, it's not really, how I view it is, it's like you buy a car and then you start noticing that car everywhere because you have that car.
Exactly.
That's kind of how I do
perfect.
it. Yeah, like so there's opportunities still for you there.
Right.
It's just you're completely oblivious to them until you decide to be aware of them.
Right. And I think that your instinctual, like deep down rooted instinct is to, if you're not doing something about it, to kind of like we've talked about before, people that are miserable or were in a miserable situation subconsciously seek out that same thing for the reinforcement to, oh, I am miserable. Oh, I'm a miserable person, so I'm going to put myself in a miserable relationship. Your body's or your mind is subconsciously doing that. Like, I hate my job. Then you start to notice little things, and you're subconsciously reiterating how miserable it is, and it's kind of like your awareness you and your sub-awareness you fighting to make whatever it is in between to be like, oh, fuck, all right, I'm getting out of this job. I'm finally doing something about it.
Yeah, I kind of have a good example of this. I was next to a table that was like this pastor guy, and I was just thinking to myself, like, man, you're just buying into this shit, it's not real and whatever. And I knock over salt, and then I take the salt and throw it on my left shoulder. And at that moment, I looked at him like, fuck. Yeah, I am ridiculous for doing this. So I was like, no more. I'm never doing that again. And then I was just thinking, like, but what happens if you do it?
If you don't.
Yeah, right? Yeah. It was like, I don't believe in superstitions, and here I am just, like, doing a superstition.
Yeah, everyone has their own. I mean, we believe what we want to believe. They believe what you want to believe. At the end of the day, it's just whatever.
It's like how you navigate through this to, be the best to you.
Yeah. Whatever makes you comfortable waking up and whatever you find to help you.
Yeah.
Because in the end, though, it doesn't matter because we're going somewhere else. This is just a part of the journey. I was listening to something today about clones. One of the dudes, I think it was Goode, was talking about alien clones and how time travel, it's not necessarily your actual physical body right now that you have right now. It's a clone of your physical body, and your consciousness or your soul or whatever is what's time traveled to the next thing, the next dimension or whatever. So then your body in this physical realm dies off, and then you're into this new body. But there's a little bit of degradation each time the clone goes on, right? There's a little bit of a piece of it that's gone and gone and gone and this and that. And it just kind of made me think of maybe that's kind of what the day-to-day living we are. Dreams, going to sleep. We're meant to go to sleep because when you go to sleep and you die, or when you go to sleep and you dream, if you remember your dream, you don't remember your dream, it doesn't matter. But that's the end of that period of time, that 24-hour clock, whatever time it is, that's the end of that physicalness. Your consciousness goes up into like a dream or not dream. Sometimes you remember, sometimes you don't. And then it comes down back into this clone of your physical self. And that's why we age and look gross as we get older, and we lose a little bit of ourselves, because there once was let's call it your 0 point of your consciousness, where you were at the apex of everything. I don't know what age it is or whatever, where you go, I am me. I am comfortable with me. And maybe sometimes people don't reach that. But then you start to go down. It's like a character arc or whatever. And then, but you're freezing time every night, or not freezing time, but you're going into the next part and the next part. So you lose a little bit of your physical self, a little bit of your mental self. And then when you get to 90 or whatever age that is, you've cloned so many times throughout all those days that a part of you it's degraded. I don't know. That's just something sci-fi that I thought about.
Yeah.
But it would make sense as to aging. I mean, obviously there's the scientific, biological, evidence of our bodies aging and that sort of thing. It's just what happens, but I thought it was a cooler way to think of it.
Yeah, they kind of use that idea with when you die, is you just jump to the new one. So like you never really die.
Right.
So like in my this is my reality. Like somebody might die in this reality, and like we mourn their death. Like Steve Ditko that just passed away. He created Spider-Man.
Oh.
In some other reality, he woke up and he's still alive. He's like 92 now, or 93, 94.
Yeah.
But like he's still alive. But in this one, he's just not.
Or like you said that one time where you just go back to a previous moment in your life.
Yeah, I always wanted it that.
Kind of like a dream where you're kind of in some weird like thing that kind of happened at one point in your life, like situation and the people, but you're like, wait, you weren't here on this timeline when you were here. And and you kind of like come back into it and you're like, oh, I had this weird dream where I was with this other person in this room talking about Spider-Man, and that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah. But like we just keep going back and forth.
Yeah, you're
between
just
the two.
bouncing around.
Yeah. I always liked the idea when I was a kid is like that you actually do go like every day you go to sleep, because we view time as linearly. So like tomorrow it will be the next day, right? And then after that it's the next day, and then so on and so forth till my days are completely over. But like we just view it that way. But how do I know I'm not gonna wake up tomorrow and be 40, or then go sleep after tomorrow and then wake up when I'm 5 years old?
Where you're going to?
No, my timeline, my life, right?
Right.
I'm just experienced like every time you pop into a different timeline. Let's say I wake up tomorrow, I'm 40. I'll have remembered all 10 years up until that point, and then I go to sleep and I'll go to 4. I only remember 4 years. I don't remember the 36 after.
Right.
So and then sometimes when you have deja vu, because I always like trying to think about deja vu, is you remembering something in the future that happened.
Yeah.
But you haven't really experienced it yet. But so like you never really die. It's just like today I woke up and it's Monday morning, and then it's like the middle of July. But that's just now what we think it is, because yesterday was Sunday, that type of thing, But tomorrow will be Tuesday. But how do you know? Like you're not actually waking up tomorrow and it's 40 years in the future, or like 15 years in the past, and you're just experiencing different slices of your life. Right.
Well, it's exactly like driving. If you're on a long road trip and you're not paying attention and you wake up, or you're aware an hour and a half later and you're like, holy fuck, I don't even remember the last hour and a half. Well, you weren't sleeping, you just weren't there. You were in your mind, you weren't conscious in the present moment. You weren't taking in all that stuff.
That's how I always felt about school.
Yeah.
It's like classes that just like history class, just boring.
Yeah.
It can be just like just gone.
Right. Oh fuck, I was just gonna say something I forgot. We were talking about dreams and
popping in back and forth of reality.
Oh yeah. So, I forgot what I was listening to or I was reading, but it was talking about death and how everyone's always afraid of death because of what they're going to miss out on or what they're leaving behind or this and that. But I've kind of been starting to think and just like realizing like that is the greatest thing to look forward to is death, because you finally get to figure out what the fuck is there. That's exciting to like think about.
I think it's people get confused though. This is what I really think is not death. They get confused with dying.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. Is like that's the ultimate stage of enlightenment.
But even for a religious person, that would be exciting. Oh shit, I get to finally figure out if heaven or hell's real and where I'm going. It's like you plan a trip. So I'm going to Austin City Limits in October.
Oh, cool.
So I know that's there, but during the day I think about things that I'm doing during that day. I'm been trying to be more present in the moment, do that sort of thing, just worrying about right now. But then I think about that, I'm like, oh, sweet, I got that sweet thing coming up in October. But if you think about death that way, it's not scary. It's just kind of like it's this very. If you try to like switch your brain up on it or change your mentality about it, and instead of thinking about this ominous like I'm gonna die, there's gonna be a funeral, it's so dark and blood and dead bodies and I'm pale and all the in casket and the ground and this shit. But if you switch your mindset and think about it, into that feeling when you first fall in love, like the unknownness of it. Where's it going to go? Where's this relationship going to lead to? Where are we going to be? Is she going to be my wife? Is he going to be my husband? Are we going to have dogs? Are we going to have kids? Oh my gosh, there's so much I don't know about. If you try to like trigger your brain to think about death like that and not in a morbid sense, then you'll be fine. Because then every day you'll be like, well, I wonder what's going to happen when I'm die. That's why I think a lot of cultures, I think that Christianity is so macabre and primordial, like heaven and hell, and we're gonna put you in the ground and everyone's gotta cry and wear black suits.
Yeah,
and
always viewed as a death cult.
Yeah, but there's other religions where or other practices and stuff where when they when someone dies, they have a celebration. They get shit faced and they break stuff and they it's like a big celebration. That's how it should be.
That's what I would want. Like you've seen Hunter S. Thompson's funeral.
Yeah, didn't they like launch a rocket into it or set his fist thing on fire?
Yeah, with like his ashes inside of it or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, and then everybody like he knew just like partied and celebrated his life rather than mourning his death.
Yeah, because he's off this. Unfortunately, you don't know him anymore, but he's on to somewhere else, if there is somewhere else. And guess what? At the end of the day, the worst fucking thing that's going to happen when you die is that's the end. And you're not even going to know. So why the fuck be worried about it?
See, I think that's another thing is why people like will view atheism as like this bleak thing. It's like, no, your consciousness is not floating around in some vacuum void of nothingness for all of eternity, left you there to think and just freak out. It's just like before you were born. Like, that's how we view it.
Right.
As it just goes to nothing. You don't have a body which contains your brain to think about things. So like, once it's just terminated, you're gone. It's kind of like that weird in-between moment. I actually been thinking about this a lot lately, like the whole death thing. Is like it's like that in-between moment between sleeping and like waking and dreaming is just like there's nothing going on and you can't remember. That's it.
Right.
But like everybody goes to sleep not afraid. Like of course like some people might be afraid of like night terrors and all that shit. But like for the most part, the majority of us just go to sleep ready for tomorrow, and they're not afraid of going to sleep.
Right.
Sleep is way more terrifying than death because you know exactly what's going to offer. Like you're allowing your body to just lay there, right?
In this house where someone could break in and rape you when you're sleeping at night, or
just take all your shit, harvest your organs.
Yeah, or if you have roommates that could pee on you or put your hands in poop or set fireworks off in your room.
Just
or
weird. Like you're trusting everybody around you to your body, whereas you're dead. Like your body can just be thrown in the trash.
That's what I want. From Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Frank's like...
throw him in the trash.
When I'm dead, throw me in the trash.
That's just like, it's that for me is like just a metaphor for his life, though.
Yeah, but in all seriousness, though, I mean, death is also... I mean, it's also... I think there is a seriousness to death because I think that the Egyptians were smarter than us, the Mayans were smarter than us, and when they had burial stuff... When they buried stuff, they buried these people with things that they would need in the next.
Well, they thought that's what they needed.
Right, they thought, but I'm pretty sure aliens were telling them, "Oh, pack your shit because when you're gone. So you can only take with you what you can fit."
Yeah, I just look at it as like, it's just more of a ritual thing. Because personally, when I die, I want to just be. I know they won't allow it, but just give me like the quickest biodegrading casket ever. And put me in the ground and just like leave me there so all my, because I've ate from this earth, it's just give it back type of thing. It's just like here's my atoms. Because like I've said before, is I view life as you existed 100 years ago. It's just you were in a different puzzle piece than you are now. Is that put my puzzle piece back out there? Because like if you burn it, the puzzle piece is just going everywhere.
Right.
Rather than kind of like a little isolated area that I don't know. I just give it back.
I have this very morbid thing that I thought about today. I was listening to that book,
How to Change Your Mind.
How to Change Your Mind, when he's talking about meeting up with Paul Stamets, and Paul Stamets says that fungus keeps the earth going. Without fungus, it would be this trashy, or it wouldn't work the same way it does because the trees die, the fungus feeds on it, regenerates it, puts it back into habitable grasslands or whatever, where animals or whatever. What I think would be a cool fucking idea for graveyards and such is just when someone dies, just throw their fucking body in a hole and then just load spores on top of them, because then the fungus will grow, will like use your body and like expedite the process of just bringing it back into the earth. So it's just it's a faster process than worms and bugs and this and that. I want to know what would happen, or if they've ever tried it. If someone dies, just fucking either inject spores in them, inoculate them, or just throw a bunch of spores on top of them and see what happens. That'd be a sweet ass scientific experiment.
What I always liked, I think it was How High. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah.
where like they end up smoking weed with the ashes from his friends.
Oh, yeah,
and,
yeah.
like, they
Yeah.
hallucinate.
Yeah.
Like I wonder if like that would happen. Is like
Yeah.
in order to get in touch with like your ancestors, is you eat, because if they're all just all these mushrooms and the same spores are just generation after generation after generation.
Yeah.
Are digesting these, and then you keep, the new spores and just keep doing that.
Yeah.
It's like you can get family history.
That'd be fucking sweet. Just like if, psilocybin mushrooms take you to some other dimension or whatever, where they take you, they give you information you're not really sure of where it comes from. Maybe that information is stored in there from wherever it came from, but if you grew mushrooms on your dead body and then whatever information was inside of you organically went up into those. So if like your kids,
See, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
Kind of like, have you ever seen Black Panther?
no.
Okay, there's a scene where in order for it to become the Black Panther, they have to drink this liquid that's from these plants, and they bury them in sand. And then when they bury them in sand, they go to a whole new reality where all the other kings have been before, and they get advice from these kings of how to like be the next king. And so they see all their lineage.
Yeah.
But they're into different type of panthers, and they morph between panther and human. It's kind of like that. That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking. It's like, okay, so you just eat the mushroom, and then like you tell your son how to do
Yeah,
something.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then like your son knows, and then you join with your son, your dad, your grandpa, like everybody just
Yeah.
comes in and gives you all this information of like, here's how to live life.
Because
like,
parts of your consciousness get stored in the
Ether
proverbial conscious cloud that's up there. That'd be sweet. Should try it.
but it's too late for us though, because we would have to be the beginners.
Yeah.
Unless like when
I don't think science would ever approve that sort of thing.
yeah, just throwing spores on dead bodies.
Yeah.
All right, for the next 4 generations, we own your bodies. So
Right.
you're just like, that's why I always wondered, is like, to see, it's kind of like a weird thing with humans is we can't really experiment on humans. Is like, okay, let's actually see if psychedelics really work on a non-formulated mind at all. So the kid that's being born today, we're going to keep them in pure isolation, just feed them whatever, and then when they get about 15, 20 years old, we'll give them mushrooms to see what they trip on and try to figure out exactly what they're saying, right?
Right.
You can't do that because they're a human. You can't just lock away a human just for like their entire existence, just for like a study. Like, I don't know.
Well, because it's inhumane.
Well, I know I'm saying, but like that would be the true thing of like,
Right.
have them come out of this room and then ask them when you were tripping, did you see God? And I'm like, I don't know what God is.
They would use whatever word they would attribute to whatever that is.
Yeah, kind of like what Grant Morrison said when he had like his kind of like out of body experience, there he saw these like gray morphic blobs of matter. He called it like near matter. He's like, why did they appear that way? He goes, because a year later or a year before, I read Terrence McKenna, and he was describing these entities just like that. So that's the reason why. It's kind of like the whole like gesture thing, where like they give you the finger and like dance around. And
Yeah.
everybody sees that. Like, is it because who thought of that originally?
Right.
It's like poisoning the well with these ideas that like every time you go like, oh, I saw God. Like the whole set idea is like,
Yeah.
well, I saw God, or then someone's like, I saw the devils, because like you brought that to it because it's like acting on your mind.
Well, that's in that book. What's the author's name?
Michael Pollan.
Michael Pollan. He talks about the one and only time anyone ever tripped.
Was Aldous Huxley?
Was
or not Aldous Huxley? Hoffman. Or
Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Albert Hoffman.
Yeah, Albert Hoffman.
When the first day he unknowingly didn't know what was going to happen, took it. That was the one and only time that anyone ever truthfully, double blind,
Yeah.
was no preconceived notion because he accidentally did it. Now, I don't know if, that's true to a certain extent of LSD, but for mushrooms, they've been around forever. For mescaline, for peyote, for ayahuasca, because shamans and I'm sure Native Americans down the line told the white man, hey, this will make you see things and that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
I guess, but at the same time, if like, let's say you never heard anything about, you were an Amish kid, you've never heard anything about mushrooms, you listened to the Grateful Dead, now you're into all this shit, no one ever told you and was like, hey man, eat this, and then you ate it, you would have a organic trip because you would never know what was supposed to be there.
Yeah. Or they actually did it in the MK Ultra studies too, didn't they? They were giving like soldiers and stuff.
Yeah, but I think that, oh yeah, actually they unknowingly gave them stuff, and the soldiers didn't know if it was a placebo or whatever. They just gave it to them.
Yeah, but still in that, I think the whole idea was that there was no idea what that realm portrayed.
Yeah.
So like you would have to give it to somebody who has no idea anything about any of these sort of psychedelic drugs, and then give it to them, and then see what they have no prior knowledge. That's pretty much what how he did it.
Yeah.
Even though, like, how much was it in that glass of water he put? Because the first time
20.25, a quarter of a milligram.
Okay.
And a microdose is a 1,000th of a milligram.
Okay.
So I think he took, I can't remember if the number's 25,000 or 2,500 doses. I don't know. I could be way off on all that.
Okay. Because
but that would,
because he was freaking out.
Yeah.
He thought he was gonna die. Like,
yeah.
for sure.
I mean, I don't even know what that would feel like, but I'm sure you'd fucking lose your marbles.
Probably he just felt like a table or something.
Well, and that's why when I always hear the old folklore tale of the kid that had 100 sheets of 100 hits of acid on each sheet in his belt buckle or in his belt waist, and he was running from the cops, and he ran through a sprinkler, and he tripped, and for the rest of his life, he thinks he's in a glass of orange juice. I mean,
Dude,
yeah.
All these tales, like, if you get further in the book, they discredit a lot of those.
Well,
those tales.
I've met people that have taken acid before or taken drugs before, and they're not the fucking same. But I don't think that I think that it was chemicals that the shit was made with. I don't think it was like the purest form.
Also, too, if you take it and you have any sort of family history, of like schizophrenia or anything, it could trigger
any
it
mental because it causes neurogenesis in the brain. It rewires things, it fires synapses that haven't been fired before, synapses that maybe were sleeping or reawoken and that sort of thing. I mean, the brain, what's the percentage of the amount that we know about the brain? Like 15% or something?
What do you mean, like how much information that we do know?
How much we understand about the brain?
Oh, I don't know the percentage of it.
Yeah,
I know that
it's
people
low.
Say that we only use 10%, which I disagree with, because like I said earlier about like digesting food, we don't have to actually use our brain to do it. It's just doing it, and our brain's actually kind of like working in the background.
I think that's called an auto.
Yeah, I remember learning the term back in psychology.
Auto something.
I don't remember the actual term now though.
But I think that I could be wrong on this, but I think they said they know more about the deep ocean than they do the brain or something like that, which the deep ocean is
pretty much unknown.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look up, I've seen videos of ribonucleic acids on neurons or on some sort of thing inside your brain carrying proteins, and
dude,
it's like,
that's so cool looking, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like a little kid with the big green balloon, and he's like walking, and like when I see
it's weird,
yeah,
on like a tree limb or
yeah,
something.
when I see that, I'm like, we don't know shit. You don't know what's in that balloon, what's in that protein.
Yeah,
a whole nother fucking multiverse.
Yeah, right. It's so weird.
You don't that when I see that kind of stuff, I literally just. I mean, I understand scientists, biologists, neurologists, all these people that are trying to physicalize the unknown or physicalize the untangible, you know, I get it why they're trying to do it. But when I see that, I just want to like, you don't know shit.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But that's like, I was thinking of something so stupid today. It's kind of like on the same lines as that. It's like, okay, we know the speed of light. We know the speed of sound. But what is the speed of smell? And I was just like, that's really strange to like think about. Like,
well, it depends on a person's butthole and how fast the flatulent was released and the spread of it, whether they had French fries and cheese. If cheese isn't in the thing, it's going to spread. It's not going to go as far. The spray radius of the stench won't be as wide. But if you have
also clothes too, clothes could like actually
clothes.
dampen it.
Yeah, how many layers do you have on? Is the door closed? What's the wind breeze like? There's so many factors that go to the...
But if you cut out all of those factors, right, in a vacuum, how fast is that smell going?
Fast as fuck.
Yeah, I don't. It's like I said, it's a stupid like idea. But
well, if you fart into a fan, if I fart into this air conditioner, you're gonna smell it quicker because there's something accelerating it.
I don't even think that smell actually has a speed to it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a quantifiable sense. Could be though.
But I agree with the whole like brain thing. But the whole idea of like science is not to really prove certain things. It's just to
understand.
Yeah, understand them. Because like, if you believe that nothing can truly be proven, then nothing can truly be proven. You know, like this could all be a simulation and everything's just false, right? But it's just a better understanding of our reality and whatever model works best currently, that's what we'll use until it doesn't work anymore.
Until the next model comes along.
Yeah, and then we'll just scrap it. And science always does that.
Yeah.
Just scrap the old model to get to the new
I
model.
get it. It's I understand the
Like pretty much like Freud's, all of his stuff is just completely inaccurate.
right.
But at the time it served its purpose, but now it doesn't.
I almost, and of course this is all opinion and we just talk about stuff in these things, but to me science and that, I'm trying to think of the correct way to phrase this. Science by deductive experiment, deductive reasoning, 2 + 2 = 4, this element equals this element. To me, that whole mentality of thought process and trying to think about things is medieval. To me, what I've been thinking about lately, spiritualness, consciousness, that I think is more of what would help someone understand all of this better, because I don't think that we are capable in our current state to figure out what it is we are, why we're here, figure out what it is, the X factor that makes us us. I don't think that we're equipped with that. I think it'll be thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of years before we're equipped with that sort of thing. Because, I mean, if you think about it, science hasn't really moved that quickly. I mean, that's obviously debatable. We didn't have cell phones 100 years ago and that sort of thing. But I just think that science, there hasn't been any gigantic, really big breakthroughs. And I could be wrong on that. I mean, I'm sure there are in certain fields. But I just think that, like, spirituality, consciousness, I don't know. There's probably other terms to describe what I'm thinking about. But I think that is more of a could give someone a better grasp on what all this is. Because when you start to quantize it, I think that, or when you try to quantify it, I think that that's when it really drives you crazy. When you try to put into understanding, well, I'm doing 2 × 2, but it's equaling 6. Why am I not getting 4? You know, that's kind of what puts you in a tizzy. But if you can let go of that, I need tangible things, and believe in the more spiritual aspect of it, I think that in this day and age, especially now with technology and information being a lot more accessible to people, they can make their own decisions. They can formulate their own things they can take bits and pieces from all these different pools of information and formulate their own beliefs and that sort of thing. I think that's kind of a better approach to understanding it all than to try to quantify it. And
See, I'm all about the quantifying it.
Really? I mean,
Yeah.
I would love to see it quantified, but
I would love to see, like, the entire universe explained and all of reality explained
me
in
too.
just like a mathematical equation.
but I don't think it's going to happen. No, we're not
Well,
fucking smart enough.
Well, not in our lifetime for
Yeah.
sure, but it's not in the idea of not being a possibility.
Yeah.
Because even like I always
But
like the
see,
idea of, like,
but what you just said, it not being a possibility, that's not science telling you that. That's your consciousness. That's your...
well, I know, but based on certain things, is like they can predict certain things like the Higgs boson, right? And then measure it the best way they can, and then actually it becomes real. And then from there they can do other things. That's what I mean by, like, it's not real yet. Like,
Right.
the human race may never actually see that day where we understand everything, but there is an understanding to it. It's the way I look at kind of reality is everything is a mathematical equation, no matter what you do. The sound of my voice hitting you, the light that's coming from me to you, like if you throw a ball in baseball, the physics of the gravity pulling on the ball, the wind, everything is a mathematical equation. That's kind of how I view reality.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, I get, the physical world, gravity, all that sort of thing. But I think that we've reached the pinnacle of that. Okay, we understand this. How are we going to understand consciousness? And I don't think that you can, and we've talked about this before, I don't think you can approach that from a scientific, I mean, you can, I think that you have to blend science and spirituality and whatever, that, like, the gray matter, I guess, is what they don't understand the gray matter, but I think that's where consciousness comes from. Because I could very well say that a flying saucer full of consciousness hit the earth You know, when there was nothing here, it was science. It was bacteria led into green, led into water, this and that. Elements happened, elements blended, but then a flying saucer with consciousness hit the ocean, and then consciousness was expelled into the earth, and that's what gave things thought and this and that, and that's what sparked it. I mean,
That's Scientology.
well, no, yeah, but it's a little more in depth than that.
Well, yeah, those are more like souls or whatever.
Right, but
That's kind of like how I view that sort of stuff is, but I'm just all for science and understanding it. Like, what is dark matter? We still can't explain what gravity is. We understand
egos
gravity,
get in
but
the
like,
way. I think that
well,
ego
I
gets
can
in the
see
way.
that. I can see that like too as well. But I don't know. I just like the understanding of like how things are working. You know?
Yeah. Well, I would love to hear whoever knows. Well, this is how it happened. This is how we're here. I'd be like, fuck yeah, sweet. Some empirical evidence that I can get on board with. But I
Yeah.
just think that there's, with science and spirituality and all this stuff, there's too many egos or like malevolent forces.
Well,
within
sure.
it.
They all want to somehow bring you onto their sort of agenda.
Yeah.
Like that's how I like. It's always like when you're born, you're always born in the nation of the correct religion. Like if I was born in India, I'd probably be a Hindu. You know,
Right.
Like, it's always no matter where you are, you're born into that sort of agenda, sort of thing. And this happens to be Christianity. Like that's right to them. That's the right spiritual path. But I think what science tries to do is just because if you're talking about consciousness, it's unknown. You can't really understand true consciousness yet. We don't really have a metric to measure what is consciousness, who's more conscious than the other person. What is a dog's consciousness like compared to a tree's, compared to humans type of thing. But just because we can't understand it doesn't mean we won't be able to in the future.
Right. Well, yeah, I get that.
I also think that it's kind of like the microverse. When things get really, really small, like subatomical, things get fucking weird. Things pop in and out of existence that can't be explained. And it seems like when one thing travels, it travels every possible path to get to where it's going. So I think that's kind of how the spiritual realm would be, is it's just too fucking weird to really understand because we just can't grasp all of it.
Yeah, it's like a bubble in water. Like that bubble is obviously it's whatever water is, what, hydrogen and oxygen, and there's oxygen in the middle, so there's some sort of sphere around it that's making it visible, but then when it pops, it just all of it dissipates. But on a super microscopic level of that, there's a lot more going on than the basics of what we understand.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's fun to think about.
Yeah, like I would have to say, because I believe that we're all from the universe and within the universe, that we're not separate from the universe, because everything is made in the heart of a star. Like everything. And a star has to die in order for give us life. So when our star dies, it'll just create different sorts of... Like, that's where all like the periodic table comes from. Like it can create gold, silver.
But that's just what we know.
Yeah, but I'm saying like... So what I was saying is that since we are from this universe, we're not separate from it. So it'd be kind of weird to think that like... It's like... talking about the whole idea of like we're the hub of consciousness. That's what it is. Like... It's just minds being filtered through this sort of physical body rather than a dog or a tree type of thing. And it gets really weird to where that whole thing that it could be maybe like what you said is reality is the water and our universe is that bubble type of thing.
Right.
So we're getting how does it stay out of it, but we're still within it type of thing.
But I don't think that consciousness is a metric of just this universe. I think that our physical profile of what we are is just given the elements or given the circumstances of our specific universe is just what we came up, how we look with this consciousness. Because in the Pleiades, for example, there's a planet where supposedly there's fucking manatee aliens that they talk like this, but they're conscious. There's also people that look like dolphins, or there's people that look just like us, but they're conscious. But their atmospheric components, their elements, whatever star cluster thing happened there, whatever blew up, that gave them consciousness. It's just science, or the natural thing that got them to be physical beings to house the consciousness. That's how it would. That's how it happened in their universe. And I'm sure for the Greys, you know, unless they are, if they're not a evolved version of us, well, they obviously came from somewhere, Alpha Centauri or whatever, where there's no sun, so they're dark. They have dark eyes, you know, that sort of thing. But our physical beings are just products of whatever atmosphere, whatever.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know. Yeah. It's based because our physical body looks this way to combat the sun.
Right. Well, that's why I don't.
Our combat our environment.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't think for the Big Bang. I don't think that consciousness came from the Big Bang. I think the Big Bang is where the physical aspect of us came from, like the Earth. It was a fragment of this or this sculpted into this and this. But was there a Big Bang? Was there a billion different Big Bangs that formed all these different aliens, all these different consciousness? I think that consciousness is a completely different entity than physical, scientific, elemental byproducts of the Big Bang or whatever.
Yeah, I view it as like the reason why I think the way I think is because of how my brain is just working. You know, if that makes sense. Like I can't be anybody other than who I am. So even if I was in your body, right, and I transferred my consciousness to your body, it's being filtered through your brain and your everything.
Yeah.
I would think the exact same way as you. I would be exactly you. We have no idea that we actually maybe even switched now. And you're conscious like, hey, let's switch bodies. And I'm thinking the exact same way that you think because I'm you now. And I think that all came from within here. So like consciousness is kind of contained within our little bubble from what we know of it. Because I have a real tough time believing that there's like little strings inside this in this reality, kind of like operating us, moving us, kind of like the whole like the whole religious type of aspect to it, whereas like there's a certain plan for you, and you know your consciousness, you're just on borrowed time in this reality. That's everything. I don't really buy into that. I just think it's like kind of like, you know, you kill an ant with not even thinking of it, but that was a conscious thing.
Right.
It's just the level of consciousness was different because of the container that was in it, but it was still within this universe.
Right.
And that's why I think that it's the universe experiencing itself through everything. So like the universe is experiencing itself through being a star, through being a planet, through being a human.
But didn't the universe come here from the Big Bang?
Not necessarily the universe. If you want to call it the whole surrounding thing, the universe. But even the universe was still a thing when it was the size of an atom. That was still the universe. It was just in a different form.
Yeah.
And then it expanded out.
Side note, how awesome in that book when he talks about the fungus that grows in the ant, and it waits until the ant gets back in the colony, then it spreads the fungus.
Well, he created that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And then the head pops off, and then the ants were getting smart enough to not let the ants that were infected, so he adjusted it to where they couldn't tell, and then it was like a or extended time release before that shit is crazy. That's another perfectly good reason as to why I don't think we know fucking shit.
Well, yeah, their whole metric of the what was it,
microverse
in Portland or whatever, was 2 miles long or something. What state did he say it was in?
Oh, the biggest organism.
Yeah.
2
the
point.
mushrooms?
Yeah, no, it's the biggest. It's the biggest organism on the planet. It's like 2.7 miles.
And it's just like all interconnected, but it's under everything. Yeah. Like and the whole idea with the trees is saying, hey, we will live inside you until you die, and then we'll feed off of you as long as you allow us to be inside you. Yeah. And then the tree will die, and then the like mushrooms come over and take it over. Yeah. It's a weird thing, like, because they find like particles of wood and stuff way before even any of the funguses were created, because it would just be dead trees everywhere they can't break down. Without them, you wouldn't be able to like refertilize the soil, right, and all that. Yeah, that's why there's so much we don't know about. Well, yeah, I wouldn't even say that we know 1%. I would say it's vastly less than 1%, because there's so many different things. Even not even in like the whole idea of what consciousness is, but just in the idea of what this all is, actual reality, which is like I said, bending of space-time. What is the fabric of space-time? What is inside of a black hole? What is dark matter? Like none of these things people know. What is gravity? Nobody knows what gravity is. How do you explain that?
It's
What
just
is-
like music.
What is time?
Right. It's just like music. You choose a genre that you like. You know as much as in that genre, so then you kind of branch out. But you'll never know everything about music.
Yeah, music's one of the weirdest things to me because it only operates in time, if that makes sense. Like you can eat, well, everything kind of operates in time. What I mean is like you can eat food, but the last bite doesn't pertain to the next bite, if that makes sense. So like you have, when you're listening to a song and you press play, it's not like you're stopping the song in sections and only hearing the song in sections, right? You're hearing, your whole mind is piecing the music piece as like one long stretched thing, even though you're hearing it in sections. Like, okay, and it's 2 minutes into the song, and then the song ends. You have this whole thing. It's kind of like I like to view it as a panoramic view of the song.
Unless you're
in your head.
freeform jazz, then you just fucking go ham.
But
Well,
still, it's still following like a whole thing, and when it finally ends and completes, then you have the whole thing in your head. That's kind of like why it takes you and moves you through different things, like feelings. When you're like, that's just how maybe somebody can explain the exact same thing for eating food if they're like a foodie. But to me, like music truly can only exist with time, rather than like sections of time. If I probably am not making sense at all.
I think I know what you're talking about. Kind of.
It's kind of like when you eat, let's say like a hamburger, right? You know what the last bite is going to be of the hamburger.
Yeah.
Like you know what it's going to taste like, without even knowing, without even having to eat the middle bite. The first bite tastes the same thing as the middle bite as is the last bite. But music doesn't do that. Even when you know the whole song, you're like, okay, so you have the whole song in your head. You don't know that when you're eating a hamburger that certain parts it has more cheese, right? Through the next hamburger, like they're gonna taste similar, so you can't eat the same hamburger. You like can't eat. I have no idea if this is making sense at all. It sounds
You
so
can if
stupid.
you. I mean,
What I'm saying is like you can have two of the same hamburger, but they're not gonna be two of the same hamburger. When you listen to the song, let's say it's your 50th time listening to the song, you know how it's going to go.
Yeah, it'll always be the same song. It was recorded. It was stamped in time because it's not.
Yeah.
At
so
the
like,
juncture of you hearing it, if it's recorded, if it's not live, it's done. The process is done.
I'm saying even still when you're listening to live music that you've never heard before, you have to keep a recollection of what you heard before. So if you're listening to a brand new band play a 4-minute song, when you're minute 3, you still have minute 1 in your head that's playing to have the whole idea of
I
the
see what
song.
you're saying. I see what you're saying. So you're saying that
Maybe the hamburger idea was a really bad fucking example.
Well, I don't. When I eat food, I'm like, when I take my first bite, I'm like, damn, that was good. And then I take my second bite, I'm like, man, that first bite was good, but this bite is really good too. And I mean, I get what you're saying. You don't have to think about the beginning to get to the end.
Yeah, you don't have to think about your first bite to enjoy
Yeah,
the middle
yeah.
bite. Because if you took 5 seconds of the slice of that song, right, and listened to it, it does not give you the exact same feeling. But if you took the hamburger and cut a circle and just only ate the center and left like kind of like a donut thing, you don't need the whole hamburger to understand that one little piece of the
Right.
hamburger.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. So you can just have like the whole thing in your head. That's
So
why
you're saying that's not like the universe, or the universe is like music.
No, I was just strictly talking about music. I don't remember exactly why I went on a tangent. But that's just how I view music.
So little fun segment, little fun facts for you.
Yeah.
On this day in history,
Yeah, what is today?
July 16th. So July 16th, I believe, is 1945. They did the first test of the atomic bomb.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it says something on my calendar about something day today.
Oh, another thing that happened today, which I didn't know. I heard about it a long time ago. It was in 1999, July 16th, 1999. JFK Jr. was flying with his wife and his cousin, I believe, or something like that, over Martha's Vineyard or something at night, and his plane crashed. He died. Fucker died. I don't think he had any sort of political desire, like
Yep.
wanted to get involved in politics or anything. But then later on, it came out that he had been talking about running for a seat in the Senate. Well, his close friends knew about that, but guess who? I believe it was 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 months, some shit like that. After that, guess who received a seat in the Senate?
Well, I don't know.
Hillary Rodham.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you think there's some fishy shit
Oh
going on?
yeah, for sure. Everyone's like, well, no, he wasn't a very good airplane pilot. He tried to land over water at night, yada yada. Okay, well, yeah, you can cut the facts however you know it's cheese. Cut it however you want it. But I find that very fucking fishy, considering the Clinton Foundation and all the shady shit that they're involved in, and that you found out that they're involved in through the years. That couple that was in Canada that threatened to oust them, and then they wind up on their fucking back porch, dead with like.
Yeah, but here's the whole punchline to the past. What was it now? Almost 20 years. So like 19 years of that is she didn't win. That's the punchline.
Right, but I think it's because that goes to show you that it's. I don't think they are the deep state. I think the Clinton Foundation is very finicky, but I think there's other powers at bay.
Like they're even the puppets themselves.
Yeah.
So like they're a puppet master, but they're being mastered.
Yeah, exactly. It goes even deeper than the Clinton Foundation, because I think they have the power to kill people and get away with it, and think that they're going to get there. But that I think there's someone else even fucking higher than that is like, nope. It's kind of like at work, right? So if you and another employee are both in the same position, but you're both fighting for the position, you could pull some shady shit. They could pull some shady shit. You could do whatever you can, but at the end of the day, it's the boss's decision of who gets the job.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So it just, I mean, I don't think that she's smart enough or maniacal enough to be one of the puppet masters, but I think that she's one of the puppet masters' best puppets,
Yeah, this is kind of why I don't like because I'm just gullible on this stuff. Like, yeah, that makes total sense for conspiracies. I just try my best. The only one
I just think it's fishy. I'd never even heard of it.
Dude, okay, so if it was July, what do you think happened 2 years in like 2 months? Because like I guess 2 years in less than 2 months when September 11th happened. Like, do you think that she has anything to do with that? Like at all? It's to like destabilize America to show you like the Republican is a bad candidate.
I don't necessarily know if she was like the puppeteer, but I think that she was in cahoots with whoever was in cahoots with it.
Do you think it was an inside job though?
Oh, yeah.
It's weird, right?
Okay, so and this actually
that's pretty much the only conspiracy that I will kind of buy into, besides the Kennedy one, like him being shot and killed for other reasons than what they said. But I think that 9/11 was just a bunch of shit.
You think it was real?
No, well, it happened, but I mean, like, in order for us to go over and destabilize country,
oh, right, right,
like that sort of thing.
But see, here's the thing: if you believe that it's that, then you have to believe that it's not the first time, because it's never the first time. So then you have to question, okay, well, what else was there? Okay, Kennedy assassination. That's kind of a
well, see, I buy into that one too.
Now it is a gimme because they released documents on it, right? I don't necessarily know if it's a gimme, but it's.
What's all the stuff that adds up to why he was killed doesn't make sense. Right.
Well, then you go to the Guantanamo Bay thing or whatever, or what was that called? What was that conspiracy called?
Was it from what he was doing?
No. This is like further back. They made it seem they killed like some Americans to make it seem like we had to go to war or something. I can't remember the specifics of it.
Well, they've been doing that sort of stuff for so long. Is like hurt their own people in order to show like it's somebody else. So like that's why. Like, do you honestly think they'd put it past them because there's money to be made? As soon as money's to be made, and they're gonna do something. That's why I think like it's just weird stuff. Like the whole one that was shot down, like right before it hit the
the Pentagon.
No, the Pentagon one was hit.
Yeah.
And did you ever know where they hit it in the Pentagon one?
No.
Where they kept all the old real files before they were backed up.
Yeah.
They hit only nobody was in there too.
Well, and the funny thing is all they found was the engine, and everyone's like, "Oh well, the plane would disintegrate on impact." Really? And then I've read or I've watched tons of conspiracy things. Obviously, there's a lot of crap, but physicists are like, "No, a plane does not hit a building and incinerate." Unless it burns for 50 hours or however long. Think about a car. A car could fly off of a fucking cliff, hit concrete. It doesn't. what physical entity hits something and incinerates and it's gone out of nowhere?
I have seen a semi truck smash into like a Chevy S10, and that thing was disintegrated.
But there was pieces everywhere. All they found of this shit
sure.
was burning stuff, and apparently the engine didn't even match that make of the plane that supposedly hit it. There's just way too many holes. And when I was a kid, when I grew up in St. Charles, there was these I think they were old casinos, but my grandparents used to take me to them when I was a kid. They would, like, once a month they would detonate one of them, and it was like a controlled detonation where you saw like pop 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 going down or up or whatever. It was so it would collapse.
Yeah, so it doesn't like spread out like
right.
left or right.
When you watch the footage of the trade center,
The Tower 9.
yeah, there's
Tower
like
7. Which one is it?
I don't even remember.
Okay.
But there's like shit popping off, and it like looks like a controlled thing. And I mean I don't know.
See, I don't get what hit that.
Of the plane.
Oh, see, I thought it just dropped by itself.
No, so a plane hit one, a plane hit the other, and those things are made out of steel and concrete.
Okay, those two. But do you remember? I think it was Tower 7. I can't remember. It was a completely random tower that just collapsed. For no reason.
Yeah. From
It was like they caved in on inside, and then yeah. That's when you were talking about conspiracy theories. That's one to me that was like kind of worth looking into because it's just so weird.
Right. Well, and the funny fact is that I believe that all the I don't know if it's the Air National Guard or the Navy or whatever, they were all stationed at a practice something rather down in the Florida Keys or down in Florida somewhere. So the people that were supposed to protect that area weren't even there. They're just it's
the thing that really gets to me that actually is found out to be real is shortly after 9/11 the anthrax scare came out. Remember that?
Yeah.
It was like, don't check your mail. They were targeting people that knew it, like politicians and people like judges and all that. That they traced that anthrax back to like a CIA. I can't think of the name. But it was here. It wasn't from outside of the United States.
Right.
It was a strain that like we created,
right,
to neutralize certain specific people.
Right. Well, and here's the funny thing too. Who do they blame that on? Saddam Hussein, Osama bin Laden, one of the two?
Yeah.
Well, didn't the United States give them weapons in previous years?
Yeah, they're part of our allies.
Yeah, so it's fishy. It's the same thing as your best friend betrays you, so you try to fuck him. You know, that sort of thing. I guess that's not really a good example.
No, I think in this one is your best friend betrays you, so you kill your family to prove that he's the one that killed your family. You know,
right?
Like,
yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah.
That's why I was like, I was way too young to like. I was in 8th grade when that stuff happened.
Same here.
9/11. I remember like watching it and everything. It's just like it never really. I remember exactly where I was because actually the teacher that I had, I thought she was so attractive. So like I just remember just like having like watching her reaction. It's like, why is she freaking out? Should I freak out?
Right.
You know, type of thing. But
well, and
it didn't really impact me.
Right.
Like somebody who would
neither
been,
here.
Yeah.
Me neither. And
maybe
I think
if I was older, it would have.
Right. And I think the thing is too is that why I feel bad about saying I think it's a conspiracy because there's lots of innocent people that had family members that died, and there were pawns in the thing, and of course they believe that
it was real.
It was real because they have to believe that, which I understand. And everyone is entitled to their own fucking decision, to their own beliefs. I will never crucify someone about believing in something. I'll give them conjecture or interrogate them why they believe what they believe in. But at the end of the day, that's just discussion, and I'm into discussion and into debating things on that level. But of course, they're gonna have to believe in that. But it's, to me, yeah, you can believe that, but I think that you're selling yourself short if you don't look into the other aspect, because it's too hard to think that they were pawns in a great bigger thing. Because at the end of the day,
well, it's a very utilitarian view,
right?
That's what we do.
At the end of the day, the vote of 10 people is worth one person's life. If I have this new agenda and I need 1 million votes, but I need to sacrifice 10,000 people to get those 1 million votes, of course I'm going to do it. I mean, you could compare, like, that sort of concept could be relevant to the gun control. Well, we can murder 500 people. You know, I have no really opinion either way on the whole school shooting thing. I'm really unsure of it. I don't know. But there's people that say that they're MK Ultra people, or that they're controlled by the government, this or that, what have you. I don't know either way. But if I needed 1 million people to vote against guns being in the hands of citizens, 500 lives is worth 1 million votes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's, like I said, it's a very utilitarian view. It's like when they decided to drop the bomb, how many people would the bomb kill and save?
Right.
If we wouldn't have dropped it, then why? Or if we wouldn't have dropped it, then how many lives would actually end up dying in return, type of thing?
What's the business term for that? If profit gain is better than profit loss. I mean, it's business ethics 101.
Well, I don't remember that.
And we're just a big fucking business anyways, this United States.
Yeah.
I heard somewhere that Mexico, or not Mexico, but South America or someone are going to, like, I don't know if this is just bullshit or whatever, but they're just going to stop using money so that they don't have to deal with this anymore, because all the U.S. handles is money.
I know what you're talking about.
You know,
I think some parts of that place actually stopped using it.
Yeah, like they're using trade your whatever, like you're
like your
working
cow for your pig. Type
yeah,
of
yeah,
thing,
like you're working but you're getting food. So we're getting rid of money because we don't want to deal with the United States, because that's what they deal with is money. All they care about is money.
Yeah.
I think that's fucking genius, and it's the start of something brilliant, because
we are so deep into the idea of money. Like, it's been around for a long time. It's like,
that's why you don't have free will.
Yeah, right. Some people be like, I have no idea what, because robberies, if you don't have money, like if you just, anybody can have food at any time, right? And you just go get food. You don't need to steal food.
Right.
That type of thing. Like,
yeah, you can go dig out of the trash. You can go ask someone for money. And I think it's called the Ubuntu movement, is the whole thing around trading your skill for living. We talked about that before.
Yeah.
But I don't know where I heard it, but I heard other countries, like, they're tired of dealing with us because we're just fucking money-hungry capitalists that want to make money, and that's all we care about is the money. We'll kill whoever we need to kill to make money.
Also, too, they'll fuck with shit to make us poisoned.
Right.
Like with our food.
Yeah, we've talked about the food. You get sick, so then you have to go to the medicine. And I don't have any opinion on President Trump. I don't like when people call him Mr. Trump. I think that's fucking disrespectful. If you're going to live in this country, like, just
regardless of who he is, he's our president.
Yeah, he's our president. Don't try to be like snide and
or like not our president.
Yeah, like I'm so emo about my political views. I'm not going to call him my president. This sort of whatever. But that's your opinion, whatever. But I think
he's the greatest president of all time.
As much as a money-hungry person he was before, whatever previous views you have of him, I'm seeing more of he wants America to be America, wants it to be great again. And him going to meet with Russia, him going to meet with North Korea, and that sort of thing. He wants to bring on some sort of peace. I don't know, maybe it's money that he wants or this or that, but I mean, I don't really see a monetary reasoning for the decisions he's making. I mean, he ended a humongous faction of child sex trafficking, shut down Backpage. He's done like a lot of good things like that, and that's not for money, that's just for moral.
Yeah, that's why I think it's like, it would be so funny to see that he's the only president ever to leave office looking younger.
Yeah.
Like, it just rejuvenates him and everything. Yeah, he could be. It's just, I think there's a lot of shit that people don't like. Because he's funny, dude. Honestly, like, he's just a walking troll. Even before he was president, he was so funny. Like,
and WWF.
Yeah.
Or like even on the Apprentice.
Yeah, he's just...
You're fired.
He's just hilarious.
You're fired.
Or have you ever heard him, like, the little snippet of him talking about Rosie O'Donnell? Like,
yeah.
He's just a funny troll type of guy. Like, by no means he should ever be president.
Right.
But, like...
Well, he's perfect. He's the perfect example of who we are as a country.
Oh, yeah, for sure. We just vote on just, like, popularity. But, I don't know. I think it'd be so great, honestly, if he just did everything, like, united Korea, brought peace everywhere, stopped all this bad shit from happening, and just, like, you have no leg to stand on from calling him bad,
Right.
Because of like his old.
Well, then everyone's gonna backpedal on their decisions.
Yeah.
But
why would you want to hope for him to fail? I don't understand that. Like, he's our leader. Why would you want him to fail?
I have a perfect comparison to that. So Cardinals, obviously, they haven't been doing good in the last few years. Mike Matheny is their coach. I'm from St. Louis. A lot of my friends, a lot of people on Facebook are, fuck Matheny's making the most terrible decisions, this and that, he's so bad. So the other day I posted on Facebook, I was like, well, now that the Cardinals manager position is open, I hope that all these Cardinals fans who could do his job better are applying for it. I was just trying to be funny and and look for, I was just,
satirical.
Yeah, stabbing the pig. But at the same time, now I've seen some of the, not all of them, but I've seen some of these people say, as much shit as I talked on Matheny, it's sad to see him go, this and that. They're backpedaling because in the moment, hating on him was the thing to do. Yeah. But now that he's gone, now there's this big feeling of remorse and, I want a piece of that feeling too. I want a piece of that cake. People just will fucking do whatever gets them in the limelight for the moment, or whatever gets them the likes or the the dopamine fired off in their brain. They're not making decisions for themselves. They're just on. Yeah, they're just feel just like the whole Trump hate thing. Some of those people that when Hillary, I've seen pictures when Hillary was not elected and there's people crying. It's like, what are you doing? Why are you really?
Yeah, I had a friend who was saying, like, she's like, I can't travel abroad anymore. Yeah, like, why not?
Yeah, yes, you can. Really, you can't.
Yeah.
But like, people are like crying. It's like, is it really gonna affect your everyday life to that much of amount? Because if it is, I mean, sorry, but we don't want you here anyways. People get so upset about things and let things affect them in the moment. They don't take the time to think about it, because then later on, what's that person who's crying because Donald Trump got elected 8 years from now, when we're having tea on crossing the ocean and everyone's getting along, marijuana's legalized worldwide, religion is accepted worldwide. Obviously, I don't know if this is going to happen. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying it's a possibility. And that person that was crying is like, oh, it wasn't so bad. It's like, yeah, shut the fuck up. Take a second. Make an educated guess, or make an educated thought to yourself. Don't just hop on the bandwagon.
Yeah. I think a lot of people just do that. Well, that's what they call identity politics.
Yeah.
Is that you just jump onto whatever ideal somebody else has.
Yeah, because they got 5 likes. Ooh, I want 8 likes. I want 8 retweets. It's all a lot of people's personal decision making and personal opinions are based on other opinions. Like, obviously we're the same way, but I think that you and I are pretty good about seeing, the bull we're about to eat from the face and the ass. We look at it from both ends.
Yeah, and also too is like when you talk to people, I don't care what you believe in. If you ask me and you get offended by the stuff that I say, like by my beliefs or my political views, or
then fuck off.
Yeah, like, why are you even asking me?
Yeah.
To get, like, sometimes I question like people's intentions of asking me questions, because I'm a pretty open book and I just like to explain certain things.
They want to be what's the word?
Like reassured?
No. What is that word? Reassured is a fine word for that.
Okay. And then they get all
reinforced.
Okay. And then they don't, like, when my views differ with theirs, then there's a lot of explaining to do, Barry. You have to explain all these things.
Yeah. Well, why do you think that?
Yeah.
Which is fine if you want to have like a philosophical.
Well, yeah, but that's not the case. Like you and I are probably like, we can just talk about aliens back and forth, and like I have a higher level of skepticism about it than you do. You think that shit's actually happening.
But I'm not going to force it on you.
Yeah, exactly. Or hate me. That's the thing I was getting at. Is like, hate me for it. It's like, okay, well, I don't believe in the same thing you do. Why do you dislike me for it?
Well, that's why this world is going to end in a fucking fiery ball of bullshit, is because people can't see that. They're so...
But while it's burning, people be hugging.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, it was so... I'm sorry. Yeah,
Yeah.
But I mean, that comes to the, the old colloquialism of... what is it, like, don't ask permission and then do it and then ask for forgiveness.
Yeah,
it's kind of like that sort of thing.
Yeah,
but at the same time, it's just I don't know, it's hard to talk to people that are so close-minded. What I think is cool is
or
like
accepting. Like, you can still be kind of closed-minded on certain things. Like, I'm pretty sure I'm closed-minded on to religion being real. Like, I'm completely closed-minded.
I'm not on religion being real.
God being real is different than religion being real.
Okay.
But if somebody's like talking to me about religion and it's helping them out, be integrated with the community, and like, why am I going to sit there and be like, oh, this bullshit's not real? That type of thing. I'm not going to sit there and just like shit on all their stuff. I'll like still talk to them, and I'll actually still be friends with them, even though like our views differ. Like that type of thing. But
because it's fun.
What? Oh, having different people in your life.
Yeah,
of course. Because you get like different perspectives of things.
Right.
Like, oh, okay,
it just makes you smarter.
Yeah, why you believe in this or why don't you believe in that? That sort of thing. So what I think it is having a more open-mindedness to conversation, rather than trying to change somebody's opinions.
Right.
Because if you're a 100% to the T pro-choice person, and you're talking to somebody who's 100% to the T pro-life, and you're just going to have an argument back and forth.
Right.
But just have a conversation of why you believe in that, and maybe you can each leave something rather than being angry at each other, because it's just an idea. It's not actually who they are, that type of thing.
Right. Well, that just gets down to like meditation and stuff, leaving your inner self, but to become aware and become part of like the whole. People are so set in their inner self and their inner beliefs that maybe the seed that set them, that made them want to feel that way and be that way, they don't even understand that. It's just kind of what they were brought up on. The fire was fueled with, that sort of thing, all their lives. But I just think that you can be set in your ways. Like, if someone tells me aliens are fake, I'll be like, that's fine, you can believe that, but I don't believe that. I believe they're real. We can still be friends. I have friends that we have completely different beliefs and that sort of thing. But I think that sort of acceptance thing, for some people, admits defeat, because their egos are so inflated and their core values are so inflamed on these beliefs that if they let that guard down, then they lose a piece of themselves, because they really don't know who they really are, because they are built on aspects of uncertainty, why they're not really like that way. Oh, I was just born this way, or I was born into this and that. They've never really taken the time to look deep down inside and figure it out who they are. And at the end of the day, if it is still that's part of their beliefs, then like I have a weird thought about religion. I'm really unsure about it and stuff, but like, I was raised Protestant. I was baptized. I went through confirmation, that whole thing. And then my dad always told me, when you're done with confirmation, you can make your own decision, which I think that's the greatest thing you can do. It's the same thing as exposing kids to sports, to different activities, see what they like. At least I was given the opportunity to the fullest to decide whether or not it was for me. My children, I'll give them the same opportunity. I'm not sure if I'll necessarily baptize them or that sort of thing. I mean, that's a decision that will be between me and the mother of my child. But I will be fine with either way it goes, because they'll be given a choice to whether A, they're either going to go through it and realize they don't believe in it, or B, they're not going to go through it, and then later on in life they can go through it if they want. They'll come to a conclusion either way. It's just giving them the seed to run with. And I hope that they're a conscious enough individual that they'll be able to figure out whatever it is.
Yeah, but your family was very fortunate for doing that to you, because mine was similar. I went to a Christian daycare, and that's pretty much all the religion I've had, and I just worked out at a young age. It's not real. My parents always wanted me to believe in God, which I don't understand why. And actually, my father and my dad were like, we can't talk about this, because I don't know, it just pisses him off when I talk about how it's not real. But
buried the fucking atheist,
right? Yeah, here he comes. Doesn't believe in God. But a lot of parents don't do that. They just indoctrinate their kids into whatever sort of belief system or anti-belief system that they have, and just force it on them to a point where if they think anything other than what they have been told to think, and it might not be religion in this case, it could be politics, that if they veer off just ever so slightly, like our family is a gun owning family, and they think like, okay, my dad has and I have, that means, you know, you have to, son, think that guns are part of this reality, that, you know, it's your God-given right to have guns. And the kid might think, I actually don't believe in it, but they don't want to say anything because, like, you'll be stripped away from this family, we'll, you know, abandon you or just whatever,
Right.
disown you. So sometimes families aren't as fortunate to let them choose their own decisions,
Yeah.
type of thing.
And I feel like a lot of the time people are just scared to go against the norm. I mean, it's scary to I mean, when I went to my first music festival, that was a first experience of going somewhere, and that kind of, wasn't sure of what to expect. It was Bonnaroo, and I mean, it was kind of scary to go from being a normal 18-year-old high school kid, drive to school, you know, I mean, I did whatever here and there, but nothing like that. And then when I saw that whole world, I was like, oh shit, like there's a whole nother element to this world that's scary, you know?
Yeah, but how you make... This is why I don't understand why people growing, like not growing, is in order for the unknown to become known, you have to do it. Like, in order to be not scared of something, you have to do it.
Right.
Like, at one point in time when you were a kid, there was an option to climb a tree. You did it in the face of fear without even realizing it. To
Right.
understand climbing trees. Now you could probably just climb trees like whatever. Or even riding a bike. There's a fear of falling. But the fear of not riding the bike is way more prevalent than falling down and hurting your knees or whatever.
Right.
So you get on the bike and you learn how to ride.
Right.
That's kind of how I view everything.
Yeah.
Is there's always a fear of moving to a new city, of starting a new relationship.
But how fun is it once you do it, and once you're in the process of it, you're like, whoa, this is cool.
It reconfirms that you could do anything.
Yeah.
Kind of like if you've
It's
done
invigorating.
this, yeah, exactly. Like, okay, like it's a scary idea having my voice out there for all of eternity, like for the rest of eternity.
Right.
You know, like it's a scary idea. But once you start getting used to it and start talking, then it's no big
It
deal.
betters. I feel like podcasting, talking, not even necessarily recording it, but just talking about these things is the best therapy you can have.
Yeah, I used to have Wednesday nights with my brother-in-law for like maybe 7 years. I would go over there every Wednesday and just hang out with him for like 4 hours. And we would just like sit and talk and just like what's going on in life. And then like he became a new father at the time and like just like started talking about, you know, things here and there. And it was just like, I don't know, like almost like a therapeutic session, just to like vent everything. And it's always good to talk to people who are non-judgmental of what you do. You know, like if I've told you like, oh, here's a dream that I've had, it's really weird, and not judge me for my dream, like that's also a good thing too, is like going into a conversation knowing that I can say whatever the fuck beyond, you know, certain reason. If I say, you know, like truly horrendous things, you might be like, you might need to actually go get that checked out.
Yeah, like
you know
if you're like, I want to kill babies.
yeah, like, hey, I think, you know, Jeffrey Dahmer is probably a good person. Like, okay,
Yeah.
like I'm
I'm gonna start a
footsteps.
religion around Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm like,
Yeah.
that's
yeah. But I'm saying, like, if I come to you, I'm like, hey, man, I had this dream where I was flying and I pooped my pants or something. You're gonna be like, oh, you know, you're fucked up for having that dream. But it's kind of like having the conversation is being open-minded, non-judgmental.
Well, I just think it's scary for people to go against their infrastructure of their walls that were built up from an early age and that have just been constantly reinforced and reinforced and reinforced. And we're lucky, and there are tons of other lucky people that were given the option, or, you know, given the brain waves, you know, whatever Alpha Centauri planets putting off smart waves or conscious waves, and we just happened to catch one of those waves, you know, and then it spawned into this you know, this unconscious desire for learning about new things and just wanting to suck up as much information as you can while you're here. That way you're fucking prepared, because what if, like, after this you're just walking and you walk off and it's just nothing, and then you have to use what you've learned in your previous, you know, lifetime. That's your first aid kit. So what are you going to do? Oh, I'm floating. Okay, so this must be some sort of water. Okay, well, there has to be, I should look for a light. Oh, there's a light. Okay, well, light must mean that there's a surface, so I should swim to that. You know, this earth right now, our physical being, is just, you're building up your survival kit, your toolkit for whatever comes next. So do you just want to be prepared with, you know, abortion is bad, God is real, guns are good, guns are bad, whatever it is. I don't take a stance on any of that kind of shit, but whatever it is, that's just all you want in your tool belt for whatever is next.
Yeah. Plus, I think these are distractions too. Like, I think they're all on the same side of the coin.
Yeah.
Like, if you just take like abortion and guns for an example, to me it's the same side of the coin.
Right.
Is usually the people who are anti-guns are pro-choice, and people who are usually pro-life are for guns.
Right.
So that means one wants to kill a specific type of embryo, and the other one wants to kill they're all for some sort of. To me, what the coin is just population control type of thing. Like, we want to do it to humans, adult humans actually walking on this earth. Not really technically adult, because you can, unfortunately people kill children, but like that, they just want to kill live walking entities, whereas the pro-choice people just want to kill non-birth entities.
Right.
So to me, it's like the same thing. So like,
Yeah.
you're arguing for the same thing, but you don't really know.
Right.
So that's kind of why I'm just like, okay, whatever. You just do whatever you want. But the thing is, too, is like when people say like, oh, I don't take any stance on it, they get like, why? This is a pressing matter. Like, I never really had to deal with any of this stuff, or like really think about, the pros and the cons. Because there are each pros and cons to everything, But just like then they start forcing their rhetoric on you.
Yeah, and that's when you're like, then
Yeah,
that's when
you backpedal,
that's
like,
when your wall kicks in, and you're like, well, I'm just not going to hear this. Like I've already, you don't have an opinion about it.
It's always like the guy that knocks on your door. He's like, do you have a moment to talk about Jesus? And you're like, fuck, man, you came at the wrong time, dude.
Yeah.
It's like somebody knocking on your door. Do you have a time to talk about, like, it's like when a girl's going to like Planned Parenthood, she had to think. She's not like, I would assume that a girl going to Planned Parenthood is not going there like willy nilly, like, oh, time to kill the baby today.
Right,
They're not
right.
doing that sort of thing. She probably had a long debate, a huge family discussion, her partner, all that sort of thing. And the last thing she wants to hear in her mind is like, you're a fucking murderer.
Right.
Like, go walk into the thing.
Well,
like,
now that you say that, though, now I've had Jehovah's Witness come up to my door before, and now I wish I would have listened, because I don't really know their story. But I wish next time one comes and be like, yeah, come on, you want a glass of tea? Come on in, tell me about your story, because it's just more knowledge. It's just more shit to put in there to be. I don't know. I think the goal in life should be to be well versed in everything, just to be know enough about enough to make an educated guess,
Yeah, what you should do with the Jehovah's Witnesses, well, you're a little different than I am, is try to convince them why the religion's not real and why atheism is the way to go, based on science. Like, let me open up the first thing in the Bible, right? It's like, do you believe that, so God created heavens, created earth, and then said, let there be light. Do you believe in science? And they're like, oh yeah, I believe in science. Like, okay, then why is in the Bible the sun younger than the earth? So you believe that the sun is younger than the earth? And then just see what they say.
Yeah.
But I'm going nowhere. Like, okay, well, you're taking the literal, just like going on.
Or just let them tell their story. And be like, okay, well, let me tell you my story, what I believe in.
Yeah.
So I believe that there was the Pleiadians, and they were us from the future, and they came when we were coming up, and they would just be like, well, I listened to your story. Why don't you listen to mine? We can converse. We can have an educated conversation.
Yeah, there's this dude that was walking through Walmart in my hometown, and he was whispering, because I guess there's no like soliciting in stores, and he's like, here, take this. This is for a moment with Jesus. And I grabbed this, like, he like, shoved it in my hand, which I'm weirded out by people.
And then they want $10 after you take it.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't fucking want this thing, dude. And so like, he's like scurried off, and I had it, and my mom's like, just throw it in the cart. So like, I threw it in the cart, and she was like, oh, it's one of those religious things. She's like, he's not a bad guy. He's just trying to spread the word. I'm like, this motherfucker just threw something in my face, man. Like, I don't know. I'm at Walmart just trying to, just buy whatever. And then, I don't know. So same thing like the door-to-door people, when they come door, I'm like, dude, you're the wrong moment. Like, if I ever want to learn about God, I'm going to church, which that's not going to be a possibility.
Or I would just read the Bible.
Yeah, well, even reading the Bible.
I like reading the Bible sometimes. It's soothing. And it's cool. I mean, it's just like a sci-fi story. Yeah, there's some cool shit. Like, dude, the Book of Revelation is badass. I have this like vivid like picture in my head of like the 4 horsemen just fucking coming down with like flamethrowers, just like burning all these stupid infidel people that are just like got so lost and caught up in their stupid bullshit that they couldn't like, they're just the exterminator squad.
Have you ever heard of a comic book series called East of West? You might actually enjoy that. It's like the beginning. It's kind of maybe, I don't know how many issues it's into now, maybe like close to 50 now. But the very beginning is the 4 horsemen are rebirthed on Earth in a future dystopian time. and their brother is missing. So every time they get rebirthed, sometimes they're a girl, sometimes they're a boy, and they have to grow up. But one that didn't die is Death, and they're wondering why Death hasn't. They need to find Death, and you find out that Death ended up kind of going against being a Four Horsemen, and then like going with there's like certain different factions of things. I don't know. It's pretty cool, and just like how are they going to destroy the world when they're not the Four Horsemen?
Right.
Type of thing. I don't want to spoil it. I always like, I don't know. I just like talking about the comic books and stuff. I always think like everybody kind of knows what I'm talking about. But if somebody's interested, honestly, I don't even know if anybody's going to be interested. Like, yeah, I'm going to go read East of West now.
Maybe.
But I do recommend it if you like the Four Horsemen Apocalypse.
Yeah, I just always that the rest of the Bible, there's some cool stuff, but that part always, because I mean, I would not be surprised if someone came down and was like, all right, this experiment failed, burn it, on to the next one. I'd be like, oh, that makes sense.
What if
we
you
fucked up?
Or a sleeper agent for one?
For what?
You're one of the
Four Horsemen?
Yeah. And you had no idea, but then once something kicks in, all your memories happen. Like boom, like oh yep, I am. Now you've lived among them, procreated, let's say, with one of them. Now it's your job to remove it all, and you have to decide. This would be a cool idea for a story.
Could I save the one I procreated with?
No.
Oof. I don't know. That'd be hard.
Okay, you didn't procreate at all.
Okay, well then yeah, I'd burn them all to the fucking ground. I thought of this perfect analogy today of what we've become. And this has happened to me multiple times, and I'm sure it's happened to other people. So you're driving down the road, and let's say you're driving on a straight street and you're coming up to a parking lot where someone's turning out of. You're close enough to where this person's trying to turn out of where you would not turn because it would be cutting this person off and you could possibly cause a wreck. If the person driving straight is looking at their phone or something, you could cause a wreck. So I'm driving and I notice this car and I'm like, oh, they're not going to go. I'm too close. But they pull out in front of you and almost get you in a wreck. And then you honk at them and you just honk to let them know. And they turn at you and just flick you off and like, fuck you, fuck you. That is our fucking society nowadays because they
hyper state of tension.
Yeah, just like, oh, I know I'm gonna cut this fucking person off. Oh, they're gonna yell at me. Fuck you. That sort of thing. Just that like awful like hatred of, well, I'm gonna do something wrong, but then you're gonna react in a proper way. Well, fuck you. All I care about is myself. I was just thinking about that because it happened to me today.
We got in a wreck or something?
No. I was driving and I saw this car and I was like, oh, they're not going to go. And I was going the speed limit. And sometimes assholes will speed up to like cut someone off. And I think this guy maybe thought I was speeding up or whatever, but I did not speed up. I actually slowed down and he pulled out in front of me. I didn't even honk my horn. I just was like driving and he looked at me and like flicked me off and was like, because I think he thought that I sped up. And I was like, dude, like you want something to be wrong. You're out there looking for reinforcement to whatever negative thing you're feeling this day or whatever, I don't know.
You should have blew him some kisses.
That's what I'm gonna start doing. I'm gonna start being like, oh, that's okay. I'm sure your life is a lot harder than mine right now, probably. So sorry.
Yeah, I just think it'd be funny if somebody's like all worked up and they just see you like just going.
Yeah, maybe it would change them.
Like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't have been so rough on that guy. Maybe he didn't deserve my middle finger.
Right.
Maybe that hand gesture.
Yeah.
Or just like give the
peace.
Yeah, peace.
Peace and love.
Yeah.
We should bring it back to the hippie days.
Wait till you get to the hippie days in that book, dude.
Oh, I'm excited. We'll have a book. We're talking about doing a to wrap this up. We're talking about doing another little mini podcast series of book reviews. We talk about the book. It should be like a 30-minute just like synopsis of what we liked.
Yeah, I kind of like that.
Not keep
almost
it
like a book club thing too, so the listeners can actually read the book as well.
And then we can use everything to tag it to get people to recognize us with. That's what I was writing down. It's just things you're talking about. Because after the thing, you always need to use tags for like what people type in or whatever's going on social media, so that people will actually listen to it. So I'm always like, well, shit, I don't really remember, and I always put the most generic things, but I'm just gonna start writing them down.
That's a good idea.
So I know exactly what we talk about.
You're usually on top of all this shit.
Yeah.
I just show up to the party.
All right,
so you can listen now on Google Play.
Google Play,
yeah.
Yep.
And then all the other ones, Spotify,
iTunes.
iTunes. Follow on Instagram and Twitter.
Yeah. www.realityorpodcast.com.
That's OR.
We're on Podbean too. We're on something else. I forget the name of it. Some other site that curates podcasts. Yeah.
We can check it out there. Let us know what it is
Yeah.
if you want. And then also email us too for any questions, concerns, comments.
Yes, please. realityorpodcast@gmail.com. We have never had an email in our email account except for confirming signups for releasing our podcast.
Yeah, fill those things.
Oh, we
out.
have we had one listen download today in like Virginia or something. Yeah, Virginia.
Well, that's cool. I know somebody from Virginia.
Really?
I didn't tell them that we have a podcast.
Maybe
or
it's
anything.
someone at Langley. They're on to us.
What's
We're
the
gonna
name?
where they train the FBI.
Oh yeah.
Quantico.
Yeah.
We're gonna start getting followed by the Men in Black. Oh, that'd be so exciting.
have them on the podcast.
Yeah, dude, if I started getting followed and shit, I'd quit my job and walk around in fucking swim trunks and flip flops all day and just be a belligerent drunk. I'd probably go homeless because I would have made it because someone would have cared about the nonsense.
I probably would just like freak out even more.
Yeah,
Just like lock the door, dude. Because like the idea of that one guy walking up the steps, that shit freaks me out,
Yeah.
dude. Just like right now we have a knock on this door. The door opens up and it's not Mercedes.
or
and
it's a fucking
Men in Black.
ant person, like an alien.
As long as he's in a suit, like please be formal if you're gonna do something.
All right.
Adios, amigos.
Adios.